Good evening. Thank you so much for coming out. Welcome to the Sidney Goldstein Theater. I'm Kate Goldstein-Breyer of City Arts and Lectures. On behalf of myself and the City Arts and Lectures staff, Holly Mulder-Wallen, I'd like to welcome you to the first debate ahead of the fall 2024 election. We're very happy to partner with Manny's, particularly since anyone who's familiar with City Arts and Lectures knows that this is very much not our usual setup. Our usual being two chairs, an author, an artist, talking to an interviewer, a vase with tulips, and that's what it is for an hour, but you're in for something very different tonight. This space has hosted notable San Franciscans, Nancy Pelosi, Justice Breyer, Robin Williams, Jerry Brown, John Waters, but tonight it's going to be 5 candidates for mayor in the capable hands of our 2 moderators. I will say just a word about why we are here tonight. That is to listen, and we hope that you will do that and not disrupt that experience for other audience members. If you do, we will ask you to politely leave. I don't want to end on that note. I'd like to end with a word of gratitude for Manny Yakutiel, who has wrangled, deserved applause, wrangled, hosted, made this possible, and he and Heather Knight will be out to lead it all in a moment. So thank you so much for being here.
Another round of applause for Kate Goldstein-Breyer! She's a little bit calmer than I am. This is an amazing house. Thank you so much to all the City Arts and Lectures folks, the Manny's folks, the community folks, people who are here that have their candidate and are so excited to see them on stage, and for the many people in the audience who are just beginning their journey of figuring out who they're going to vote for mayor. I just wanted to welcome you and say thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be here tonight. And I want to set some context. I want, for those of you who've been to Manny's and know what we're all about, what we're trying to show is we're trying to show that San Francisco can engage in civic discourse, sometimes sitting next to someone that you totally disagree with, and listen intently and be respectful. And so with that, I'm going to ask you not to clap, not to jeer, not to snap, because we don't want it to get awkward for you with the person next to you. And also, we want to give everyone the opportunity. Whoa, there's so many people up there. Hi. Oh my God. Where'd you come from? Gosh, there's a lot of you. Don't look up, Manny. So no clapping, no signs, all that stuff. Let's just listen to these candidates. We're going to keep it very entertaining for you all. And then the last thing I want to say is it feels really, really cool, especially at the beginning of Pride, to stand up here as a 34-year-old gay man and have the honor to start this election season. My mother always told me that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and it's just awesome that we get to do this here on this amazing stage and bring these 5 people out. Every one of these people that's doing this, they're taking an act, it's an act of courage. They're working really hard for our city, and they want to serve our city. And so they deserve our respect, and they deserve our open mind as well. So I just want to say, even if there's a candidate on the stage that you don't love, or you're disappointed by, please give them an honest listen and know that just to do this, just to prepare for this debate and to put their name out there, it's something that deserves our respect and our admiration. Right, y'all? Yeah. All right. And now, I'm going to bring on my extremely prestigious co-moderator of this event, the one and only San Francisco New York Times Bureau Chief, Heather Knight.
Thank you, Manny, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Now I can't see any of you. We just wanted to give some ground rules. The election will be November 5th and will be decided through ranked choice voting. That means it's important to listen tonight not only to figure out who your top choice is, but how you would rank them all in order, because that's what you can do on November 5th. And the candidate who receives the fewest first choice votes gets dropped, their backup votes are redistributed, and the process continues until somebody is a winner, which, just brace yourself, can take days, possibly even weeks. And then we also wanted to explain tonight's rules. They're pretty straightforward, and the candidates got them weeks ago, so they can't complain now. Each candidate will have a minute for an opening statement and a closing statement, and a minute to answer each of our questions. If somebody calls out another person by name in their answer, they will get a 30-second rebuttal. But there's only one rebuttal per topic. Manny and I have the option to interrupt a candidate if they're straying too far off topic to get them back on course, and we can also ask follow-up questions. We can ask a question of one candidate and not the others, or multiple candidates but not all of them, so we're going to try to mix it up and keep it interesting for all of you.
Basically, we can do whatever we want.
Those are our rules.
Not everything, but, you know, most things.
And because coins do not come with 5 sides, we just had backstage the candidates drew numbers, and of course, us being us, they weren't just regular numbers. We put every muni line into a hat. Woo! And people drew muni lines, and the highest muni line goes first. I think that was the 55, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, with the 55 line, we have, well, the first person that's coming out is going to be Supervisor Aaron Peskin. He had the 9. No. So all the way out.
All the way.
Then with the 22, we have Mayor London Breed. The 28, we have Daniel Lurie. The 29, we have Mark Farrell. And with the 55, we have Ahsha Safaí. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry. Every candidate will now have 60 seconds to give their opening statement, and we will start right here with Supervisor Safaí.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ahsha Safaí. Let me start by saying I'm a proud immigrant who fled violence and upheaval and came to this country when I was 6 years old. I was raised by a single mom, and I'm a proud husband and father. I want you to walk away from this debate tonight and ask yourself one question. Who has the experience and track record to fight for all San Franciscans to live in this city? Not the billionaires or billionaire heirs, but working and middle-class families and those struggling to get by. I put myself through college, earned a master's degree in city planning from MIT, and have dedicated 24 years to public service in this city, working with 2 mayors and organized labor. I have always fought for working people, and I have a unifying vision and track record of bringing people together across political divides, including business and labor. As your mayor, I will fight for a city that works for everyone.
And former Supervisor Farrell.
Thank you. And thank you, Heather. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, everyone, for being here that's in the audience. Thank you, everyone joining online. I am proud to be a born and raised San Franciscan. I'm proud to be a lifelong Democrat. And I'm proud that my wife Liz and I are raising our 3 children here in the city of San Francisco. And I'm running for mayor because I believe in the city of San Francisco. We have everything going for us as a city. On a day like today when the sun's out, might have been a little windy, it might have been a little hazy, but you can't help but fall in love with the city of San Francisco once again. We have amazing parks. We have amazing educational institutions. But more than anything, we have the people of San Francisco. San Franciscans have a spirit that is unique around the world. But the reality is we are in a tough spot right now, and we need a change of leadership in City Hall. I believe experience matters. I believe competence matters. And a strong vision for the city of San Francisco matters. And I look forward to sharing that vision tonight and through the rest of the campaign. Thank you.
And Daniel Lurie.
Thank you. I'm running because San Francisco needs accountable leadership and new ideas. The City Hall insiders that got us into this mess won't get us out. And we know this not because of what you'll hear them say tonight, but because of their records. I founded one of the largest anti-poverty fighting organizations in the country without a cent of government money. I'm the only candidate in this race that's held nonprofits accountable on the issues of housing, education, and employment. I built affordable housing here in San Francisco on time and under budget with union labor. I've proven how accountable leadership can get big things done for our city. As mayor, I'll bring that same culture of accountability because that's what it's going to take to make our city safe and clean, end the drug markets, build housing, and bring our businesses back.
Mayor Breed.
I'm London Breed, and I am proud to be your mayor. I love this job, and I love this city. And let's just take a moment to realize we've been through a lot. I became mayor during a very challenging time, and then I've led this city through one of the worst public health crises we've seen. These guys have one thing in common. They want us to feel bad about San Francisco. They want to take us backwards. They are working against San Francisco. I'm the only one on this stage working for San Francisco. I look forward to the work that we have done, including helping to get over 15,000 people off the streets, helping to build over 20,000 new homes, and crime is now at one of the lowest rates it's been in 10 years. I look forward tonight to talking about what we have done and how San Francisco is on the rise because of the work that we have done and will continue to do together.
And Supervisor Peskin.
Good evening to my fellow candidates, Heather, Manny, and all of you. Thank you for being here this evening. I'm running for mayor to make San Francisco a city where diverse working people and middle-class families can afford to live, a city for everyone, not just the wealthy. Over 17 years of public service, elected 3 times by my colleagues to be president of the board, I've demonstrated the proven skill to turn San Francisco around. I get things done. I've demonstrated again and again the absolute independence to stand up to wealthy special interests and do what's best for our city. I put progress in progressive. While other candidates make promises, I'm already writing the laws to do what San Francisco needs. Build affordable middle-class housing, reduce rent costs, combat corruption, and increase police staffing to implement real community policing. This November, don't just ask, am I better off than I was 4 years ago? Ask who on this stage will fight for me and really get the job done.
All right. Thank you so much for your opening statements. We're now going to go to our questions section. A reminder that everyone has 60 seconds to answer the question, and if someone's name is invoked by name, that person has 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal after they complete their answer to the question. Our first question is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's about our downtown recovery. It is one of the most serious challenges facing San Francisco as it tries to recover from the pandemic. More than 35% of office space in the city is vacant, one of the highest in the country. Many workers have stayed remote, meaning the towers are empty, and small businesses that used to cater to workers are failing. What are 3 concrete actions that you would take to rescue downtown in the first year of your term? Let's start with you, Mayor Breed.
San Francisco's downtown can't be what it was before the pandemic. It has to become a neighborhood, a place where you work, where you live, and where you play. My 30 by 30 plan will bring 30,000 new residents and students to the downtown by 2030, working with universities from all over the country to bring more students in technology and lab space. converting some of those buildings downtown to housing, making downtown not just retail, but a place for all kinds of businesses, and bringing more block parties and entertainment and excitement downtown. My goal is to transform downtown so that it is not in a similar situation that it has been because of the pandemic, and I look forward to implementing that economic recovery plan to get downtown on the right path.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor Breed. Let's go to you, Mark Farrell.
Thank you, Manny. So I believe in terms of downtown and south of Market, the first two things we need to focus on is public safety and the conditions of our streets. It is the reason why conventions have left the city of San Francisco. Conventions feed the hotel industry, the downtown restaurants that we know and love. And I believe we need to focus on public safety, focus on cleaning up the streets of our city, especially in the downtown core, so we can create an environment where employers and employees want to come back to downtown. Second of all, I believe we need to get aggressive out of City Hall with tax incentives for our business community. We did it in the mid-2010s in the mid-market area to great effect when City Hall concentrated on that area. It wasn't perfect. We're going to learn our lessons, but I believe we need to be incredibly proactive with our business community and bring them back to our downtown core. And lastly, it's about conversion from commercial to residential building. I believe we need to create the future of downtown. Just like Wall Street did in New York in the 80s, we need to make sure we have a long-term focus on residential downtown so people can live and work in our downtown area.
All right. Sorry. Next is Supervisor Ahsha Safaí.
Thank you. So just last month, end of April, I put forward legislation that would allow us to create a downtown public education district. We have a historic opportunity to purchase buildings and turn them into universities, public universities. City of Phoenix did this 18 years ago, and now they have 12,000 students in the downtown. They've generated over $6 billion in revenue for their city and occupied over 4 million square feet of office space. We have 40 million square feet of office space. We have to send the message that we are invested in it, that we care about it. I'd also make Public Works a 24-hour department so that we can work on cleaning our city consistently, not just cut them off at 8 o'clock at night. And the last thing, of course, we want to do is office to residential. But we have to think about the people that are working there, the working families, and ensure that they have a safe and clean environment as well.
Thank you very much. Daniel Lurie.
People and businesses are not coming back downtown until it's clean and safe. We need to act. We need to address public safety. We need a fully staffed police department and sheriff's department and 911 dispatch office. We need certainty in our zoning so that businesses know what they're getting into, both small and large. And third, we need to transform how we think about downtown. It needs to be a 24/7 community. I have to tell you, I was downtown New York City on September 11, 2001. I was a block from the World Trade Center. And I can tell you, without question, in the years that followed that, people told me they would never go back downtown. But now, you go back to New York City, it's booming. There's no question because you got businesses, you got residential, you got college campuses. San Francisco is coming back. We can do this.
All right, and bringing up the caboose, we have Supervisor Aaron Peskin with the same question.
Downtown is in the district that I've represented for most of the last 24 years, and I've been there for downtown, and I'm getting things done. I just passed legislation to make it more economical and easier to convert vacant offices to housing. I'm writing another law to finance office-to-home conversions to bring more residents downtown, and have worked to draft business tax reform, which will be on the November ballot. To make downtown a neighborhood, we also have to invest in things that make neighborhoods great, like arts, libraries, culture, small businesses, and parks, things downtown has really never had. But while we improve downtown, we have to change what this administration is proposing for the rest of the neighborhoods. They're seeking to impose massive changes to our neighborhood commercial districts on Clement Street, Irving Street, 24th Street in Noe Valley, Chestnut Street, all over the city. The plan will drive out existing residents and force hundreds of small businesses to shut down. It will be as disastrous for our neighborhoods as redevelopment was in the 1960s. So yes, let's revive downtown.
That's time.
But let's not destroy our neighborhoods.
All right. I'm going to ask a follow-up question to Daniel Lurie. Daniel, you recently said that the key to bring downtown back is to woo tech companies back to San Francisco. Which specific companies do you have in mind, and how would you convince them to come back when several have already left and are continuing to work remotely?
Actually, I said clean tech companies. I appreciate the question. We need to marry what we're doing downtown with the empty office space, 22 Salesforce towers worth of empty office space. We have the Googles of the world, the Metas of the world, OpenAI. Let's marry AI with the empty office space, and let's reclaim the mantle of being the leader on climate. The climate crisis is real. Let's invest in it. A proposition on the November ballot would reduce taxes for clean tech companies by 59%. It's a perfect opportunity for us to once again reclaim that mantle and send companies back here. I want those jobs here. I want that tax revenue here. It's going other places. We're losing out to New York and other cities. I want it here in San Francisco.
Thank you. Another huge problem facing San Francisco is fentanyl and open-air drug markets. More than 3,000 people have died of drug overdoses in the city since 2020, far more than COVID-19, homicides, and car crashes combined. Drug markets are far more visible here than in many other cities and can even be seen very close to City Hall. What would you do to both curb the drug markets and save lives? And we will start with Supervisor Peskin.
Heather, I've been abundantly clear we need to aggressively arrest and prosecute fentanyl dealers. I called for a multi-agency coordination center in April of 2023 to bring law enforcement together to shut down the Tenderloin drug supermarkets. Unfortunately, police were directed to target drug users instead of drug dealers. We've made more arrests for using drugs than dealing them. That is not going to work. To shut down the drug markets and keep residents safe, I will implement a community policing strategy in the Tenderloin. We need officers on foot patrol day and night. We need a visible and fixed police presence to stop drug dealers where they congregate. To combat fentanyl addiction, we need to dramatically expand treatment. And I will lead a groundbreaking regional effort to use Prop 1 dollars, which we recently passed, to refurbish unused and underutilized facilities to provide vastly expanded regional mental health and drug treatment for San Francisco and the region. Folks, this is a public health crisis, not just a public safety crisis.
That's time.
And we need to treat it that way.
And Mark Farrell.
Thank you for the question. The bottom line is our city's approach to the fentanyl emergency that we have in the Tenderloin, south of Market, and surrounding neighborhoods is not working. We keep breaking our own record every single month, every single year for drug overdose deaths on the streets of San Francisco. This current administration's harm reduction approach to fentanyl is a failure. We are treating it like the meth and heroin issues of a decade plus ago. A harm reduction approach where literally every single day there are city-funded workers in the Tenderloin handing out free packets of tinfoil to those suffering from drug addiction. That is not the right approach. As mayor, I will declare a fentanyl state of emergency. It will allow us to ask the state and federal government for additional funds, to allow them to bring in additional law enforcement, and also allow us to build a 24/7 centralized intake center so we can not only focus on getting people off the streets, but get them connected to services to give them the help that they need. My North Star is about saving lives, and that's exactly what I'll do.
And Daniel Lurie.
There's lots of talk about holding this population accountable, but we also need to hold the systems accountable as well. I'm confident that we can fix this issue, though. We need to surge resources. I also called for a citywide fentanyl state of emergency. We need more resources, more beds. Simply put, we're spending $700 million a year on our behavioral health system. We've skewed so heavily to harm reduction, which I believe is part of the continuum of care. It's very important. But we forgot about building the beds and treating people. In the last 12 months, we had 13,000 people put on a 5150 hold, held against their will, brought to SF General and other places. And 64% of those people were released to the street. without any care. They just went through the most expensive part of our healthcare system. We didn't have a plan. You can read more about my plan at daniellurie.com.
And Mayor Breed?
I have brought together the state, federal, and local law enforcement agencies to not only make arrest of those dealing on the streets of San Francisco, but also those folks who are using. We have made over 3,000 arrests, 858 of people have outstanding warrants. And not to mention, we are not just using harm reduction to help people with treatment. We are using abstinence-based treatment, which was never a part of our public health response. We've already invested over $20 million for 7 new programs helping people to get treatment. The solution is not criticism. The solution is actually being as aggressive as we can to try and get people the treatment and the support that they need. There is no other mayor in any major city in this country that is doing what I am doing with the various services that we are doing in order to help combat this issue, and we are seeing improvements in our city. No, we are not where we need to be, but we are headed in the right direction.
And Mayor Breed, I have a follow-up for you on this topic. As a supervisor... Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, thanks. So, there's been a lot of talk already about community policing. I was the first person to lead in over a decade. We passed legislation, was implemented in January, to put officers back out on the beat and out of their cars on foot patrols. Walked the beat with the captain of the Tenderloin the other day, and he said, a lot of our resources are going into the downtown. If you want to stop the drug trade, you got to get the officers on the street and you have to address the drug dealers. So let me say that first. Secondly, we just saw UCSF purchase St. Mary's and St. Francis. There's going to be beds available. We have to work with them to expand the treatment and recovery beds that we have in our city. But we need bold leadership. We need management and accountability. We have organizations in this city that are getting money that are not producing the results. And that's why I led 18 months ago a mandatory audit of the services coming in the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing.
Now, Mayor Breed, I have a follow-up for you. For many years, you said you were a big supporter of supervised consumption sites, but they still are not operating in San Francisco while they are in New York City. Can you explain why you've changed your mind on that?
Well, I haven't necessarily changed my mind on that, but we do have some concerns with state law that could lead to not only the arrest of people who are implementing safe consumption sites, but potentially the disbarment of lawyers in the city attorney's office, as well as other people who are involved in the legal documents and making it possible in San Francisco. Our goal is, of course, to do everything we can to help combat this crisis, which is why we are investing resources into not just harm reduction solutions, but abstinence-based solutions so that we can get people the treatment that they need. And more importantly, especially with the passage of Proposition 1, we are preparing and anticipate additional resources to add more capacity. And adding more capacity is easier said than done. It requires making sure we are able to hire people who are willing to work 24/7 in order to help with the population that needs it the most.
Thank you. Homelessness has been a huge problem for the city for decades, and no mayor has been able to solve it. The Supreme Court will weigh in on this question soon, but in the meantime, we'll ask you. If someone living on the city's streets turns down an available shelter bed, what should the city do about it? Supervisor Safaí.
Thank you. I have to come back to management, leadership, and accountability. Right now, we have almost 1,000 permanent supportive housing beds sitting empty. We have hundreds of affordable housing units sitting empty. We have hundreds of shelter beds sitting empty. This is not a matter of resources in our city. It's a matter of leadership from the top. And that's what's missing right now. We absolutely have the ability to get people referred to the right treatment, referred to the right beds. And Heather, I'd love to come back to that overdose prevention question if you have an opportunity. Because,
you have 26 seconds.
Because I will just say, at the end of the day, I led on doing the first sober housing building in this city. But we need bold leadership when it comes to the overdose crisis in our city, and that's what's missing right now. We have to open up an overdose prevention sites, multiple ones in the city, if we want to see the 810 people that died from overdose this past year go down. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mark Farrell.
Thank you, Heather. So the homeless issue that exists right now in San Francisco is completely unacceptable, in my opinion. Homelessness is once again on the rise here in our city. As mayor, I will make sure homelessness is on the decline. As a supervisor, we did a ton of work around homelessness, quadrupled the budget of Project Homeward Bound, worked on areas and policies that were effective at addressing the solution in San Francisco. And as mayor in 2018, I took out the large tenant encampments in San Francisco. We treated people with compassion and respect, but if they said no, we took their tents away. And after a few months, all of a sudden, people were coming into shelter or leaving the city of San Francisco. I believe that we can actually help the individuals living in tents, because nobody's getting better living in tents at night, between the street conditions, the health issues, and the crime, and also clean up the neighborhoods of San Francisco, both at the same time. As mayor, I will fight to make sure we protect the streets, because I believe our sidewalks belong to everybody.
And Daniel Lurie.
This Supreme Court is going to likely overrule this ruling, this injunction. But we should have built the beds 18 months ago. I have a plan that we will put out 1,500 new shelter beds in the first 6 months of my administration. They will be safe. They will be dignified. People will no longer resort to, nor will they be allowed to sleep on our streets. We need to get tough on this because, as the former mayor said, there's nothing good about what is happening in these tents. Simply put, it can no longer be an option. We need more safe, dignified shelter. We need to double down on Homeward Bound. We need more mental health and drug treatment beds. We have to send a message to this country and to the world that you do not come to San Francisco to deal drugs, to do drugs, or to sleep on our streets.
Thank you. And Supervisor Peskin.
Heather, we have many, if not most, of the tools that we need to reduce homelessness. We need to use them. Prop C gives us the resources to expand shelters and build supportive housing, and I'm actually the only one on this stage who supported it. Prop 1, which just passed, as I said earlier, lets us lead a regional effort to refurbish facilities and add thousands of desperately needed mental health and drug treatment beds. But what's been missing on homelessness is effective management. And I have the know-how to untangle the web of overlapping and nonprofit services so we can do more with what we already have. And I will make it my mission to prevent more homelessness before it happens. 69% of the homeless people on our streets were previously housed in San Francisco, according to our surveys. As mayor, I will keep rent in control. I'll dramatically increase rent relief, rent vouchers, and free legal aid against evictions. Every family we save from eviction is one less family living on our streets.
And Mayor Breed.
Right before I was elected mayor, tenant encampments were 58% higher than they are today. In fact, I've increased our shelter capacity by over 60%. I've increased our permanent supportive housing by over 50%. We have helped over 15,000 people get off the streets of San Francisco and onto housing security. We will continue to go out with our street crisis response team and the various teams that we have who are working with individuals out on the street, offering shelter first. And when they refuse, we will still clean and clear the streets and follow our bag and tag policy in removing their items. I'm wondering, with everything that many of these folks are proposing, where do they think they're going to get the money from, especially in light of our significant budget deficit, a lot of promises, but I have delivered on making sure that we are making the right investments responsibly and doing everything we can to get people off the streets.
Thank you. Daniel Lurie, I have a follow-up for you on this topic. Your nonprofit, Tipping Point, has spent more than $100 million addressing homelessness in San Francisco, but the numbers of homeless people keeps creeping up. What do you have to show for your spending?
We made a big, bold bet in 2017 to cut chronic homelessness in half in 5 years. partnering with the city in many cases. We made some great strides. We actually reduced chronic homelessness by 13%. It was not where we wanted it to be. I take responsibility for that, and I hold myself accountable. But we got housing built on time, under budget at 833 Bryant. And I'm going to tell you something. There was a man named Timothy. He was homeless off and on for 20 years. When I met him, he had been in a wheelchair for a while. He has now had his own house, apartment. He is healthy. He's out of his wheelchair. He's giving back at a place called Hummingbird. There's 144 other Timothys out there. I'm proud of the work that we did at Tipping Point. We held groups accountable. We cut funding to groups that weren't performing and redirected those resources to high-performing organizations. Thank you for the question, Heather.
All right. We did downtown recovery, drug addiction, homelessness. Now let's go to public safety. All right, light fare. San Franciscans are worried about crime, including car break-ins, home burglaries, and vandalism of small businesses. Many residents have lost faith in the San Francisco Police Department's ability to respond quickly. If you win, what would your strategy be for combating property crime and ensuring city residents and visitors that they are safe here? Let's start with you. Come on, come on. Remember.
We're trying to hear from everybody on this important topic.
We'll wait a moment. All right.
Are you guys sure you want to do this?
Let's start with you. Oh, don't be mean, don't be mean. All right.
All right.
Let's begin
Now
with you,
it's a
Mark
real
Farrell.
debate.
Do you need me to repeat the question, or do you remember it?
No, I got you. Thanks very
Okay.
much.
Mark Farrell, you first.
Look, public safety is the #1 issue across our city today, and it doesn't need to be that way. When I was chair of the Budget Committee for 4 years, I partnered with Mayor Lee, and I continued these policies when I became interim mayor, and we grew our police department every single year to record staffing levels. Since I've left office, we are down over 600 officers in our police department. That is a problem. We have great men and women in our public safety departments. Police officers, firefighters, sheriffs. We need to honor and respect them. My plan for public safety, I believe we need a new police chief. I believe we need to restore the budget of our police department inside of City Hall and not strip money away from our police department that has been done over the past few years. And lastly, we need to return to police staffing levels that we had before. Right now, all of our district stations are down between 20 to 40% in police officers. They don't have enough officers on the streets to respond to calls for service, let alone be proactive in our neighborhoods. Our home was broken into a year and a half ago, but my experience is one of many here in San Francisco. Public safety needs to be the main issue.
All right. Mayor Breed, same question.
My police budget is $200 million more than it was from the previous mayor. We have continued to do everything we can to recruit and retain, including one of the best contracts that they had, which, by the way, before I became mayor, there was a really horrible contract that also chased many police officers away from the department. We are now one of the highest paid departments with retention bonuses. We are seeing more applications than we saw before the pandemic and increasing the number of academy classes. But to be clear, public safety isn't just about police. It's about alternatives to policing as well, and having ambassadors and other resources and responses to calls for service in the city, which is something that I have led on. We are seeing one of the lowest crime rates we've seen in 10 years. And that crime rate is continuing to trend to this very day, including a 50% reduction year to date in car break-ins, 30% reduction in property crimes, and much, much more.
Next question, next person, Daniel Lurie, sorry.
Public safety has to be a top priority every single day and not just during an election year. We know that we're able to do this. We clean up downtown and we make it safe and secure when conferences come in or foreign leaders come in. Police know this. We need a fully staffed police department. We need a fully staffed sheriff's department. 911 dispatch office also needs to be fully staffed. And frankly, the last 2 mayors have underwhelmed on this issue. Interim Mayor Mark Farrell talked about his time as budget chair.
You'll get a rebuttal.
Undercut the mayor on the police department in each of the 3 years he was budget chair by almost $6 million. Mayor Ed Lee asked for more funding. Mark, you gave less. And so we can talk all we want about public safety, but a mayor has to stand by and support our public safety and our first responders.
Mark, do you want to respond to that?
Absolutely. And I appreciate the question and the comments. And Daniel, this is where your inexperience shows. You have not been part of the Budget Committee in City Hall. You have not been mayor of the city of San Francisco. There are competing priorities every single day. But as budget chair, I partner with Mayor Lee. We grew our police department to record staffing levels after 5 years. We average 5 police academy classes a year with over 50 recruits. The last academy class to graduate under this administration had 15 graduates. To me, public safety always has been and always will be my number one priority.
That's your time. Supervisor Peskin, same question.
Thank you, Manny. I've always said that public safety is a progressive value. It's one of the most important things the government must provide. In my district, we hired Cantonese-speaking foot patrol officers for Chinatown. Most of the officers in my district know the shopkeepers and the residents on their beats, many of them by name. It doesn't just keep people safe, it makes them feel safe. As mayor, I will expand the community policing we have in District 3 to the rest of San Francisco. I can get that done. I just helped write a charter amendment with Supervisor Dorsey to increase staffing for our police force and put more officers in our neighborhoods. You will vote on that in November. And I'm introducing a plan to use forgivable college loans to recruit diverse young people from the community into law enforcement so that our police force is both from our diverse communities and dedicated to keeping our communities safe.
And Supervisor Safaí.
Thank you. Let me just say this. When you think about public safety, it's not just about the police department. Right now, our 911 call operator center is down 40 operators. Our fire department is down hundreds of firefighters. Our sheriff's down hundreds of sheriffs. Our police officers are down at a historic level. But what's been missing has been the leadership and the investment to recruit. If you don't invest in the recruitment budget, you can't go out and get officers and all the other public safety personnel that we need. And that's been underfunded over the last 5 years. My community policing plan, again, people keep referring to it. I passed that in January. We need leadership from the police department. We need the mayor to fully buy in. And we need people out on the streets. And when they're out there, they get positive feedback. They get positive interactions. And that's the best way to recruit in a department. When morale goes up, people want to be a part of this. And again, think about it from the perspective of youth intervention programs as well.
It's your time, and I have a follow-up question for you. I've got some questions.
All right.
My follow-up for you, Supervisor Safaí, is you have strong ties with labor, but the Police Officers Association is another kettle of fish. Does the POA have too much power in San Francisco, and is it hampering the work of reforming the police department?
You know, at the end of the day, and that's where experience and understanding, I would be the first mayor in over 50 years to come from the labor movement, and I'm very proud of that. And I can tell you, whether it was the Student Success Fund, whether it was working on a citywide project labor agreement, we have been able, and I have been able to get people to the table and get real results. And so, no, I don't think any one union in this city has too much power. It's about how you engage with them, how you bring the disparate parties together, and that's how you get to yes. You have to be able to think about it from the perspective of what's the end result? Do you want to get more officers? Do you want to get them out on the street? Do you want to get more public safety? How can you get labor and business together in all different aspects of what we're trying to do in this city? Because this is a labor town. That's where the history of this city and the political movement in this city began. And I'm proud to come from that movement. And I know as mayor, I can get all the parties to the table to get to yes.
Okay, and I have a follow-up question for you as well, Mark. you're running for mayor on a tough on crime message. What would you say to the San Franciscans who don't see police as the solution to our problems?
I appreciate that. I think part of the issue that we need to solve for, because not everybody believes police is the issue, is trust within our community and within our police department. I will tell you, my experience, we have the most amazing men and women in our police department here in San Francisco, dedicated to their jobs. I'm willing to hold anybody accountable, people in our police department, any other department in the city of San Francisco government. But fundamentally, the men and women in our police department are dedicated and putting their lives on the line for San Francisco residents every single day, and I believe they deserve our respect. When the current administration cut their budget 2 years ago, that was a disservice to the public safety departments that work for the city of San Francisco. And as mayor, I will make sure that I dignify the work that our law enforcement officers do here in the city of San Francisco, and make sure that every single resident, every person that works in the city of San Francisco, and every person that visits our city is safe.
I would like to rebut.
So the rules of the debate are, and this is the tough one, and they clearly read the rules. You have to be mentioned by name. They can't say the administration or the mayor.
Just keep going.
All right.
Someone mention her by name, goddammit. Let's move on to
That's
housing.
part of the problem. They won't.
We can't change the rule in the middle of the debate, you guys.
Okay,
right.
moving on to the next topic of housing. This is another big issue on San Franciscans' minds. It costs way too much to rent or buy here. It takes an eternity to build. Neighbors fight many projects, and the middle class has largely been priced out. What would you do to make housing more plentiful and more affordable and ensure people of all income levels can live here? Mayor Breed.
Since I've been mayor, despite the interest rates, the obstruction, the layers of bureaucracies and fees and other challenges, I have still been able to get over 20,000 new homes built in San Francisco. Just a couple of weeks ago, we broke ground on 335 new units of affordable housing for seniors and kids. And right now, what we are doing is trying to rezone San Francisco in a very responsible way to get more housing built throughout San Francisco along transit corridors that protects neighborhood character, but also provides an opportunity to build. I grew up in this city. There were over 300 units of public housing where I lived, and they were torn down and only 200 built because the city's housing policy in the past has always been about trying to keep people out rather than keep them in. And this is why I am so aggressive about removing obstruction, barriers, or anything in our way to get more housing built in San Francisco.
And Supervisor Peskin, since you just got some major side eye, you can go next.
Heather, San Francisco has a housing problem. 73,000 units are approved but are not being built because they can't get construction financing. I have the answer. My plan will use innovative city financing to build housing affordable to middle class and working San Franciscans who don't qualify for low-income housing without raising taxes. Don't be surprised that I actually have the best record on housing you've never heard of. In my own district, I've built every kind of housing, affordable, market rate, and homeless shelters, and I've never voted against any affordable housing. And I voted to approve over 100,000 new homes in San Francisco, more than every person on this stage combined. And I did it by working with neighborhoods, not against them. San Francisco needs, and I support, housing at every income level. We can build the housing we need, but we don't need to turn Ocean Beach into Miami Beach.
And Daniel Lurie.
Currently, it takes us 1,100 days from the time you submit a permit to the time it's approved to get housing built. It's absurd. Every year, we have bigger budgets, worse outcomes, more excuses. Simply put, we need more affordable housing throughout this city. The board president mentioned we have 70,000 units that have been approved.
You were mentioned.
70,000
Use my name.
70,000 units that we can unstick. And what I am very excited and confident about is that we can do this because I've done it. I told you before, we got affordable housing built on time, under budget, using good paying union labor. We need to bring all parties to the table to get more housing built in San Francisco.
Ahsha Safaí.
See, that's where the inexperience of someone that hasn't worked in government like Daniel Lurie shines through. Let me just say this.
Thanks for
representing the city and the part of town that has the highest concentration of working families, those labor households. No one has been a voice for City Hall at City Hall for them like I have. In the past 8 years, we were able to build 600 units of housing, but we expanded the definition of what affordable housing meant. We want to be able to make sure that teachers, nurses, janitors, firefighters can live in this city and thrive in this city. Janitors used to be able to buy a home in my part of town 30, 40 years ago. Today, that's out of the question because those homes are 1.5 million. So it's easy to talk about things in theory, but if you haven't been at the table with labor and the business community and working families and actually gone through the process, it's all theoretical.
We have a disagreement among the moderators. Did you call out Daniel Lurie?
I did.
Name? Okay, you get a 30-second
It's a moderator fight.
Listen, they're going to talk about experience all night long, and they have over 70 years of combined experience on this stage. Look at where it's gotten us. Are we happy?
No clap, guys. You're eating into his time, y'all.
I will put my track record of experience up against anybody on this stage. I've worked, that housing I got built, I went and got an 11-0 vote at the Board of Supervisors. When I brought Super Bowl 50 here, I worked with mayors across this region. I know how to get big things done for San Francisco.
And Mark Farrell?
Thank you very much. I have always been, and my track record is in City Hall, unapologetically pro-housing. I supported an incredible amount of new housing inside of District 2 with infill opportunities and continue to work on projects, big ones that will develop and ultimately build over 1,000 new units very close to where we live inside of District 2 with the CPMC site, UCSF's Laurel Heights site, and the Lucky Penny site. And as mayor, I believe we need to be incredibly pro-housing throughout the city of San Francisco. I don't believe we should upzone every neighborhood in the same way. I believe neighborhoods should look different. But I believe we can build more than our state mandate is coming from the RHNA goals. We can exceed that mandate here in San Francisco by zoning changes, by legislation changes. We need to lower the inclusionary so people will start to build here in the city of San Francisco so we can put people back to work. We need to repeal the transfer tax increase, and we need changes within our planning department.
Supervisor Peskin, I have a follow-up for you. Your housing policies differ most from the other candidates, and your critics call you a NIMBY because of your efforts to keep your own neighborhood, North Beach and Telegraph Hill, preserved as it is. Are you a NIMBY?
Heather, when I first came into office, when the Embarcadero Freeway was torn down and the 3 parcels that we got from the state of California were slated to be hotels and other uses, I insisted that each and every one of those parcels be built as dense, affordable housing. And today, each of those parcels are dense, affordable housing. I continue to lead the efforts to convert the Kirkland bus yard at Fisherman's Wharf to housing. And soon, when that entire fleet is electric, we will actually be able to do that project. As I said, I have built homeless housing, and I will take this opportunity to talk about other obstructionism and say by name that Supervisor Farrell actually opposed the affordable housing at Booker T. Washington, opposed converting the Bridge Motel at Lombard to affordable housing, and opposed placing a navigation center in his own district when I welcomed one in mine with open arms.
I'll take that as a no. Mark Farrell, you get 30 seconds to respond.
Thank you very much. Again, I will put my record up against anybody about being incredibly pro-housing in my own district. I believe Supervisor Peskin hasn't seen a revenue bond or a revenue measure that he hasn't liked on the ballot in San Francisco in 20 years. I believe we need to be disciplined with our housing. We need to upzone in multiple different neighborhoods. We need to change legislation in City Hall. And we need to change our planning department. We need to stop being ideological inside of City Hall and actually get results done, and I will do that.
Do I get 30 seconds now?
No.
All right, let's move to our government. Heather, my esteemed co-moderator, broke the story of the $1.7 million toilet in Noy Valley. Are we pro-toilet or pro-story? Okay, got it. But that was just a symptom of a bigger problem of red tape and bureaucracy that makes even the most simple projects wildly expensive and time-consuming. The next time a public toilet needs to get built in San Francisco, how would you get it done faster and more affordably? Let's start with you, Supervisor Safaí.
Well, at the end of the day, the first thing I won't allow is my departments to pad the contracts when they're applying for state grants. And that's exactly what happened in that instance. Once it was exposed, all of a sudden it went from 1.7 million down to about 600,000 or 700,000. Like, listen, guys, it is not cheap to build anywhere in the Bay Area, but when we pay prevailing wage to working people and the cost of materials and construction has gone up, it's going to cost something. When we pass laws, and we've done that, to protect workers, to ensure that we're supporting our small businesses, our local business enterprises, women, minority contractors, all of those things come at a cost. And they're important goals. Local hire, all of those are important goals. I will continue to advance those goals, but one of the things that we need to change is our contract reform, and I'm working on that right now. Let's pre-qualify a list of vendors. Let's ensure that we can cut down the request for proposal process, and that will save time and money.
All right, let's go to you, Mayor Breed.
What I'm really proud of is over the past couple of years, whether it was Proposition H or over 100 changes to the codes, we have made it a lot easier for small businesses to open in San Francisco by cutting bureaucratic red tape. Sometimes it's not about introducing new laws, it's about getting rid of old ones. We have a bureaucracy of decades of built up laws that need to be completely deconstructed. And that is what I've been doing, not just as it relates to this $1 million toilet, but for a number of other things within city government, including looking at ways that we can sole source. For example, when there are things where you have only one or two companies, why are we doing a competitive bid process? We have to completely deconstruct government. I mean, if I had my way, I'd take the whole charter and everything else, put it in ChatGPT, type up a few things and spit it out, and almost start all over so that we can deconstruct and get to yes in this city.
All right. Let's go to you, Mark Farrell. Same question.
Thank you. Obviously, the $1.7 billion budget was an embarrassment to the city of San Francisco and endemic how our city government is spending its money today. To me, we have to completely rethink not only our budget process, but how we are allocating our city funds. Billions of dollars being contracted out within our city budget every single year. Over $1 billion to nonprofits here in San Francisco with little to no accountability. There are great nonprofits in our town that do amazing work, and we need to give them additional resources. But let's pick homelessness specifically. Over 258 nonprofits in the city of San Francisco receive funding from the San Francisco city government for homeless services. That is out of control. And even more egregious, there are 9 different city departments that fund these services and these nonprofits. Multiple instances, 6 different city departments fund the same nonprofit. That to me is unacceptable. We need to rein that in.
Daniel Lurie, same question. How are you going to build this toilet?
Manny. I used that toilet yesterday, actually. Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Why is it, with all the experience up here, that the system is broken and it's ineffective and it's corrupt? And we all know this. But I'm confident that we can tackle this problem, because if you go to my website, you can see my accountability plan. We're going to restructure the bureaucracy. We're going to centralize contract management. We're going to streamline permitting and streamline construction of all of these major projects. You go out to Taravel Street. Those business owners on Terraville were told it would take 2, maybe 3 years. We're on year 5. 6 different departments have their own construction management teams. I'm going to centralize that into one so that when the pipes break and the business owner calls, they don't get the runaround saying, oh, no, that's...
We brought in all of our resources to help make sure that the transition was smooth and we were able to get that nonprofit out of doing business in this organization.
All right, and I have a follow-up question for you as well, Supervisor Peskin. You've been in and out of city government for close to 25 years. When you started, the city budget was $4.2 billion, and now it's $15.9 billion upcoming, almost quadruple. Some would say dissatisfaction with the city has quadrupled as well. Do you get that? Additionally, you've supported decades of increased regulation during this time. Realistically, how can we expect you to be the one to reverse these regulations if you're elected?
Manny, when I started out, San Francisco had the most anemic fiscal reserves of any major city in America, and I actually have always said that fiscal prudence is a progressive value. And to that end, started implementing rainy day reserves that we enjoy to this day. As a matter of fact, we never thought COVID would come about and that we would need those rainy day reserves, but we did that. We had very high deferred pension liability, and together with my colleagues on the board, in my role as president of the board, we reduced our pension liability in the city and county of San Francisco. Those are the kind of reforms, nuts and bolts reforms, that I have brought because I'm a policy wonk and I get down into the weeds and I have the courage to do it.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to a topic that's near and dear to both of our hearts.
Public transit.
Come on.
Woo!
That's better.
And streets, to be fair. Muni is struggling financially, and BART could collapse. Meanwhile, some San Franciscans think there's a war on cars, while others think the city isn't doing nearly enough to prioritize space for pedestrians and bicyclists. How do you think about how to use our streets? And most importantly, how can the city make sure BART survives? And we'll start with Mark Farrell.
Thank you for the question, Heather. Look, I believe firmly in our city's transit-first policy here in San Francisco. We can't afford to have the next person move into our city and bring their own automobile and drive it around the city. Our streets would be more clogged than it ever is before. I believe we need fast and reliable public transportation. We need media to focus on operations, not these capital expenditure projects that are driving neighborhoods crazy throughout the city of San Francisco. We need to make sure we have protected bike lanes around the city of San Francisco. When I was a supervisor, we put a bike lane right in front of my house. And I believe we need to focus on additional pedestrian safety throughout the city of San Francisco. But in reality, the MTA, the way it's currently being run, is wrong. We need a common sense approach. Let's get away from ideology. Let's not crush our small businesses when we do these capital projects. Let's make sure we work with our neighborhoods, work with our community, better our public transportation system, and move our city forward that way.
Daniel Lurie.
We need Muni to be safe, reliable, and efficient. I spoke with a young high school student who was the victim of anti-Asian slurs on the bus ride home from school one day. And I hear grandparents out in the sunset who are scared to get on to Muni right now. And that has got to end. We need to increase the number of ambassadors. As far as a citywide plan, we need to stop demonizing each other. I've talked to bikers, I've talked to people that we will not get out of their cars, and we absolutely need to get as many people onto public transportation, but all three need to work together. I have a track record of bringing people together, diverse groups of people together, to get big things done for our city. We need to do that for our public transportation system and to make sure that people feel safe and that it's reliable again.
Supervisor Safaí.
Thank you. Let me tell you, one of the things that I think that's been missing with the SFMTA is real community outreach. One of the things that I would do is reshuffle the mayor's office to bring back the mayor's office of neighborhood services. You need a voice that you can contact at City Hall Anyone you talk to that talks about how they can get in touch with the mayor's office, it's some email that no one gets a response to, or any type of feedback and follow-up. So when the SFMTA is out there talking about doing a center bike lane on Valencia, who do the small businesses have to talk to? Who do the Bicycle Coalition, others, bike advocates have to talk to? We need real community outreach. Of course we need protected bike lanes. Of course we want to have a safe, reliable public transit system. But we have to have one that's actually accessible, that's going out and doing the job to listen to the community, to come to real solutions on how we're going to move forward and have a first-class public transit system and a first-class alternative transit system in our city.
Mayor Breed?
San Francisco has changed, and we need to make sure that our transportation network, which is a part of our entire scope, our plan, has opportunities for bicycles, for pedestrians, for cars, for buses, for all modes of transportation to move around the city safely and efficiently. And since Taraval was mentioned, I'd like to point to what we've done there right. More specifically, San Francisco has a dig once policy. And it's not just city agencies that were responsible for the delays. I mean, we work with PG&E and other agencies we have no control over. But we have done everything we can to not only provide financial support for those businesses, which is what we've done in other instances when construction has had an impact on our city, but we've also seen 12 new businesses open on Taraval since last year. The fact is, we as a city, we're changing. And what we don't want to happen, which is what happened in Pacific Heights when there was a huge sinkhole, we have to repair our infrastructure, we have to make changes to our city, and we have to make it work for all modes of transportation.
Supervisor Peskin?
I have a long, proud history of advocating for public transit, and I supported bike lanes practically before they existed in this city. I was proud to pass the law which required replacing diesel buses with electric buses. I streamlined the MTA with a very important piece of charter reform, giving it more autonomy, and impose America's first tax on car share companies to fund transit improvements for all of us. As mayor, my first priority will be pedestrian safety. In District 3, we've implemented safety measures at hundreds of dangerous intersections, and we need to do more all across the city. Second, we need to fix, repair, and repave our roads. Whether you walk, ride a bus, scoot, car, it's unsafe without better roads and sidewalks. I think we can all agree on that. Third, we need to recruit more Muni operators. A better Muni means quicker trips, fewer cars, lower emissions, and better air quality.
That's your time.
Mark Farrell, I have a follow-up for you. You surprised a lot of people by coming out of the gate calling for cars to be added back to Market Street after the city has moved slowly toward adopting more car-free streets and safe places to walk and bike. First, why do you support adding cars back to Market Street? And second, when was the last time you rode a Muni bus or a bicycle?
Well, I'll answer those last two first. The bicycle was last week, and the Muni bus was a few weeks before that.
What route?
Bus route?
Yeah.
The one California.
Okay.
In terms of Market Street, let's take a step back and talk about a vision for Market Street. I believe Market Street should be one of the grand boulevards of the world. Think about the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Think about Las Ramblas in Barcelona. But you know what? Market Street today is scary. From City Hall down to the old Nordstrom site, it's scary because of the street behavior. And from that Nordstrom site down to the Ferry Building, it's all of the business closures. When I talk about bringing vehicles back to Market Street, it's about creating vibrancy on that street so we can once again have foot traffic and restore Market Street and start to build for the future. I believe we need to have fast, reliable transit on Market. I believe we need to have safe bike lanes. I also believe that we need to make sure we have pedestrian safety. But at the end of the day, I've also listened to concerns from those advocating that feel safe right now, taking public transportation and bikes on Market Street. And what I will do as a first step is to bring rideshare back to Market Street. We already allow taxis on Market Street. Let's allow rideshare companies to do it as well. And that we can take the incremental first step.
That's time.
Thank you very much.
Our last major topic before we move on to the fun lightning round is going to be kids and schools. San Francisco has a smaller percentage of residents younger than 18 than any major city in the country. Its public school district faces a raft of problems, including a payroll system that doesn't work and a possible takeover of this by the state for its poor budgeting. For those of you who are raising kids here, what are the highs and lows? And for everyone, what would you do to fix our public school system and make the city more family-friendly? Let's start with you, Supervisor Safaí.
Thank you. I have to say one of my most proudest achievements in the last 8 years has been being one of the leaders of putting the Student Success Fund on the ballot, which created up to $60 million a year to support our public schools. Schools that don't have a strong PTA budget now can go out and apply for grants up to $1 million. Schools like Guadalupe, right down the street from my house, serving predominantly working and immigrant families, only had a $10,000 PTA budget. Just a few months ago, they were awarded their first Student Success Fund grant that will provide math literacy, English literacy, in-school support, after-school support, whole school, community school model, up to $200,000 a year, and keep going. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the United Educators and those that are going to continue to teach our kids and families, and that's what we need to do. We need to continue to lean in and support our public schools. Thank you.
Mayor Breed.
I'm really proud to be a graduate of public schools here in San Francisco, and I work very closely with our superintendent to address many of the challenges, including the one that consists of not being able to pay some of our educators, a system that we use our controller's office and all of our resources in order to help combat. In fact, the voters have given a lot of resources to the school district, but in my budgets over the years, I've gone above and beyond to provide support for mental health, to provide support for teacher retention, and to continue to work hand in hand with the superintendent because we desperately need to increase enrollment in our public schools, and we have to do everything we can, not just looking on the sidelines and trying to figure out what is going on with our public schools, but working hand in hand. It is something that I have consistently done, and helping the school district get on a fiscally sound plan so that they can address their long-term issues and needs is something that I have been on the forefront of.
And Daniel Lurie.
Today, parents are fleeing San Francisco in droves because of safety, affordability, and our underperforming schools. You don't have direct control, obviously, as mayor, but you do send $200 million a year of the $1.2 billion budget. So you have the megaphone, and we need to speak up on raising student standards. And we need to make sure that our schools are looked at not just for the teachers and the students, but also for the parents and the families. I helped launch a pediatric clinic in Bayview Hunters Point with Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris. We found out that there was one pediatrician for 10,000 kids. We quickly realized that more support was necessary. So we brought mental health in, we brought child abuse prevention in, and we created the Center for Youth Wellness, a place that everyone could go in the community. We need to treat our schools with that same issue.
Supervisor Peskin.
Well, as mayor, I won't have the authority over curriculum or admission policies, but I will most definitely support the school district. What we can do is reduce the weight of social issues and inequality that are holding our schools back. Today, for example, 2,300 San Francisco public school students are homeless. That's a shame for our city and something we should be able to solve. We've led campaigns to end veteran homelessness. We've led campaigns to end trans homelessness. As mayor, I'll lead a campaign to end student homelessness. I'll also focus on creating affordable housing for teachers, support staff, and paraeducators so we can attract the teachers we need for San Francisco. And as I said earlier, my middle-class affordable housing plan will provide those kinds of units at no cost to taxpayers and for people who don't qualify for low-income housing but also can't afford market-rate housing.
And Mark Farrell.
If we want San Francisco to be one of the great cities of the world, we need to have a great public school system here in San Francisco. As mayor, I will be the most proactive mayor in our city's history in support of our public school families and public school children here in San Francisco. First of all, one of the three main pillars of our public school system is around third grade reading proficiency. Talk to educators. It's what dictates success academically in grammar school, high school, and beyond. We have a Department of Early Childhood in City Hall. I will make it their first funding priority to ensure that we focus on programs supporting our public school families for third grade reading proficiency levels. Second of all, I will be the first mayor that mandates that our MTA work together with our school district to work on bus routes, but in particular bus frequency in the morning for our public school families. The heartbreak that I hear from public school families when they get their kids to the bus stop in the morning, as tough as that is, when a full bus goes by and now that child is late, that is something we need to fix, and I will be proactive.
It's time.
Thank you.
Supervisor Safaí, we have a follow-up for you.
Sure.
Should the San Francisco Public School District close schools, and if so, how many?
You know what, at the end of the day, we've lost about 10,000 students over the last few years, but one of the things that a lot of people experience is they leave our public school system during the bleed from elementary to middle school. Some of our middle schools in this city are larger than the public high school that I went to. They have 1,500 students. I think what we need more than anything is a readjustment and a reallocation of our resources. We need to reimagine how our schools are put together, and that's why we need to go out and work with our educators. We need to work with our families and ensure that we have the resources and the assets to continue. Our population will come back. People will begin to engage and come back to our schools. It would be foolish to sell off those assets because those opportunities are going to be there again. And so I can tell you one thing, as someone that represents working families, immigrant families, and those living in the southeast part of San Francisco, I will fight to make sure those schools are not on the list.
All right. We are going to move on to the lightning round. You've all heard
Woo! Come on, lightning round! My favorite section.
I thought that was another heckler.
This is trouble.
These are not minute-long
Lightning
answers.
questions?
These are quick answers. Be as fast as you can, a couple of words. And we're just going to go back and forth like this. Okay, starting here.
What is your favorite San Francisco tradition?
My favorite San Francisco tradition, and I started it when I came here, was to ride the cable car. That's to work. It's great.
Nice.
Mark?
Visiting Alcatraz.
Daniel?
That's your favorite San Francisco tradition?
You are law and order.
Audience. Well, your time's
I
sorry.
gotta go with opening day.
Sorry?
Giants opening day.
Opening day, okay.
My favorite San Francisco tradition is the San Francisco Juneteenth Festival on Fillmore Street.
Nice.
My favorite tradition is swimming from Alcatraz.
Whoa.
Good one.
Shots fired, y'all.
Okay, we'll start at the other end. Where in San Francisco is your favorite place to get a burrito?
Well, I really like the pozole at San Jalisco, and their burritos are good too.
Pancho Villa.
This is.
You want me to say
yes.
where it is?
We know.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, you got to know where Pancho Villa is on 16th and Mission.
This has been really. I knew you'd ask me this question, and I'm so torn, but I gotta go La Taqueria over Gordo's.
And I'm going to take the other side of that coin.
I know.
Gordo's, hands down.
Wow. Don't hiss, Gordo's.
La Corneta in the Mission and also in Glen
Good.
Park.
I like that one.
Could you please name your favorite San Francisco drag queen? Starting with you, Ahsha.
That's a tough one. I mean, Honey Mahogany, I have to say right out the gate.
All right. Mark Farrell.
I'm going to give the same answer, Honey Mahogany.
All right.
You've educated me on this, Manny, but I'm going Donna, but since she's supporting the mayor, I'm not going to say her last name.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to say, since I declared the first drag laureate in the world to be Darcy Jollinger, that's who I'm going to say is my favorite.
And
Darcy.
Darcy Drollinger, yes.
Yes.
Supervisor Peskin?
Hands down, Juanita Moore.
They have chosen their queens, everyone.
And where's your favorite watering hole in the city?
Well, they actually have really good NA beer at the mother of all bars, Gino and Carla.
Me? Mm-hmm. Sheba Lounge in the Fillmore.
Been there with you.
This is an ode to my father who took me to the blue light all the time.
The Philly Club in West Portal.
The Dark Horse and the Excelsior, Geneva and Mission.
No one said powerhouse, I see. Okay. I can take you all there afterwards if you'd like.
After party.
See who survives.
You didn't say club, you said
I
water.
say, oh, no, it's a watering hole.
Okay. Yeah, right.
All right. If you...
Can't believe it took this long to get here.
All right, if you had to vote for one other candidate on this stage, who would it be?
Ooh.
Starting with you, Supervisor Safaí.
Do we have to answer that question?
You have to answer the question.
Okay.
And you have 15 seconds.
I don't know. That's tough. I hadn't even thought about it. I'm still focused on trying to win this race, so it's hard to pick a second choice.
Come on, answer the question.
I probably would say either Mark Farrell or Aaron Peskin.
All right. Mark?
Hands down, this man next to me, Ahsha Safaí. But hold on, let me say this. It's because I respect Ahsha's commitment to his family, I respect his service to San Francisco, and I respect his connection and his commitment to the labor community here in San Francisco. These are values that we share and values I will bring to office.
All right. Daniel, who would you vote for?
I'm focused on me. I want everybody to know we got a ranked choice voting system here, and you got to put me number one. And you know, let's see how this unfolds.
And who would you vote for number two?
I haven't made my decision yet. But Manny, when you were thinking about running,
I thought you had to answer the question.
Manny, when you were thinking about running, you were definitely going to be my number two.
Oh, my God. Let's move on to Mayor London Breed.
I would just say that some of these guys up here have not been very nice to me. So I'd probably look at some of the other candidates in the book for some other people who might be running for mayor, too.
So no one on this stage?
It depends. They still have time to make it up to me.
Well played.
And Supervisor Peskin?
Manny, the business of politics is the business of collaborating and compromising, and I've done a lot of that with Supervisor Safaí and some of that with Mayor Breed.
All right.
Have you ridden in a Waymo, and what did you think? Peskin, Supervisor Peskin.
No, but I did tax them, and that is going to the MTA.
I haven't ridden in one yet.
I haven't ridden in a Waymo. I rode in a cruise before that all happened. Yeah.
Wow.
I have ridden in a Waymo. It's an incredible experience. It's scary the first time it happens, but it's part of the future here in San Francisco.
I have not.
And the final lightning round question. If you could wave a magic wand, like bippity-boppity-boo, do you know the reference? And immediately change one thing about the city, what would it be? Supervisor Safaí.
Absolutely deal with the overdose crisis and the number of people that are dying on our streets.
I would bring the 49ers back to the city of San Francisco.
Ooh.
The crisis of drugs on our streets, absolutely, but I think we can prevent that by having a world-class public school system. That's what I would wave my magic wand and fix SFUSD.
All right.
I would wave my magic wand and over 100,000 units would appear overnight.
Wonky, I know, but I would vastly reform the civil service hiring system, which only the mayor can do, to hire to all those vacant nurses positions, 911 positions, police officer positions. I'd fix civil service.
All right, let's give a round of applause to our amazing
I
candidates.
need the board to do that.
We have one more section. We have one more section. Before we move on to closing statements, I just want to take a moment and I want to acknowledge and thank you, the crowd. You've been an amazing crowd, very, very respectful, and I hope you learned a lot from tonight, and you can take all these conversations and with their answers, take it to your homes, take it to your offices, and take this to your communities and begin the conversations and the dialogue that's going to happen over the next few months for this election. So thank you, audience. You've been amazing. Now, each candidate is now able to provide a 60-second closing statement, beginning with the person that was first. No, beginning last. So that was you,
I went
Supervisor.
first.
You went first.
Yeah.
So Supervisor Peskin. So we're going to start with you, Supervisor Peskin.
I think what you said
I
when
did,
you had
didn't
us,
I?
you
I did.
in the beginning you told us
I did. And
so
I'm
you're
consistent.
changing the rules in the
No,
middle
I'm
of the
not.
game.
I'm not.
You
I
said
did- I
Aaron
did say
Peskin
that.
would go last.
I did.
That's
okay.
what you told us.
All right. So Supervisor Safaí, you're first.
So you're changing the rules again?
No.
That's what he said.
Just kidding. That's fine. I'll go first. It's all good. Listen, as your mayor, I will never make excuses. I promise accountability and bold leadership. I'm an immigrant. I've run my own small business, and I've been advocating for working families and everyday San Franciscans for the past 24 years. I will listen, and I will be a strong voice for you. Of all the candidates on this stage, I bring the most diverse set of experiences to this job. This is not an entry-level job. You have to be ready for this job day one. Now, I want you to come back to my original question. Who has the experience and track record to fight for all San Franciscans? I will fight like hell every day to build a safe, affordable, and thriving city so that teachers, janitors, firefighters, 911 dispatchers, working families can call San Francisco home. I hope you'll join me.
Thank you. Next we'll go to Mark Farrell.
Thank you. This election is going to boil down to one question. Do you believe in the direction we are going in City Hall, or do you believe we need change in City Hall? I'm running because I fundamentally believe we need change in the mayor's office. I've been mayor before. I've sat in that seat. I know what it takes to run the city of San Francisco. Experience does matter. The next mayor is going to come in with close to a $16 billion budget, 35,000 plus city employees and over 50 departments. Experience matters, and I bring that to the table. But more than anything, we need a mayor with a strong vision for the city of San Francisco and leading with that vision. My vision of our city is a city that is safe, with clean sidewalks that belong to everyone, with a growing economy, thriving neighborhoods, and a focus on families. It's a vision I will fight for every day in San Francisco, and so we, as San Francisco residents and as a city, can take back our mantle as one of the most iconic cities in the world. I hope you'll join me as well. Thank you.
Daniel?
San Francisco, we are coming back. But I believe the outcome of this election will determine how fast and what that comeback looks like. We can return to the same politicians who have spent their careers building up a broken system, then blaming it for their failures. Bigger budgets, worse outcomes, more excuses. Or we can choose a better future rooted in accountable leadership, new ideas, and the end of politics of demonizing each other on every single issue. I'm not naive. I know that challenging the status quo is never easy, but that's what it's going to take to build a clean, safe, affordable, and thriving city that we all deserve. And I am so confident that we can get big things done in San Francisco because I've spent my career doing it. Thank you.
I have served as mayor during unprecedented crises, and I have met this challenge head on, and this city is on the rise. Crime and street homelessness are down. Businesses are returning. And in the next 4 years, I will help reimagine what downtown is by bringing 30,000 new residents and students to the downtown by 2030, continuing to arrest drug dealers and make our streets safer, and continue to build more housing in every neighborhood of San Francisco, make our transit system better, and support our small businesses. I agree, this election is a simple choice. The guys running against me want you to feel bad about the city. They want to take us backwards. And I want you to be hopeful about this city and proud of what we've done and optimistic about this future. Do we want to go backwards, or do we want to move this city forward together? I'm proud to be your mayor, and I hope to have your support.
Supervisor Peskin.
There's an old saying in politics, follow the money. Mark Farrell's first contribution came from hard-right Republican Bill Obendorf, who has given $13 million to extremists who pass abortion bans and anti-trans laws. London Breed's ballot measures and independent expenditure campaigns are funded by crypto kings and venture capitalists. Daniel Lurie has refused public financing so he can spend his fortune on his own campaign. I'm proud to be a grassroots candidate with over 1,000 contributions from artists, teachers, nurses, and working San Franciscans, and as mayor, that's exactly who I will fight for. My endorsements include San Francisco teachers, healthcare workers, Teamsters, the Tenants Union, San Francisco Rising, Small Business Forward, and the League of Pissed Off Voters. I will fight for our diverse working communities and middle-class families who need better public schools, affordable housing, and protection from rent hikes and evictions. I'm pro-housing, pro-safety, and pro-San Francisco.
Thank you to the candidates. I learned a lot, and thank you to the audience. I hope you did too. Remember to vote.
Good job, all right, brother.